Hi guys, I'm Mingjie and welcome to Hackathon Help Center's video for marketing for hackathons. Before we start, let's quickly introduce myself. I've been a hackathon leader at Thomas Wooten High School in Rockford, Maryland for 2 years, and during these 2 years I have helped coordinated over 10 events. And for large events, I have been the marketing director of Hack Chicago, which is the Midwest's largest high school hackathon, happening during summer of 2018, and I have also helped organize 5 seasons of CodeDay in 3 cities, mainly at a smaller scale. The goal of this video is to share some of my experiences that I had after running large events and small events in different areas, and also to share some tips and tricks that I learned the hard way. I learned those things after I made some of my mistakes, and I really think that if you pay attention to this video, you can really avoid them when you are handling marketing for your events. So before everything, let's talk about why marketing is so important. Why is marketing different from other aspects of the event planning process? So I will break this into mainly 2 points. The first point is attendee experience. Attendee experience is something that really nobody can help you with, because even in cases like CodeDay, where there's a headquarters backing you with a global budget, so you don't need to raise as much money, you still have to get your own attendees, and there's really nothing that headquarters can help you with when it comes to marketing. In some cases, like your event might even run without enough sponsorship, but the experience will be terrible without enough people attending your event. So the second point is the scale and impact. So basically, how many sponsors or partners will eventually return to you in the future. Marketing effort directly creates impact for your event, and which will determine the degree of support you will get from your sponsors. Let's say this is CodeDay. This is my CodeDay, which is about like 50, 60 people in attendance, and this is Hack Chicago, which had like 100 to 250 people in attendance. When sponsors see those pictures, they know exactly what kind of audience they are reaching out to, and it gives them a clear picture how much impact they are making by donating money to you. So if you did a great job at marketing, sponsors will eventually come back to you if they see value in sponsoring you. So there are mainly 2 types of marketing: email marketing and physical marketing. Because physical marketing really varies in different areas, and there's really nothing that I can talk about that can generalize things for physical marketing. I will focus this video completely on email marketing. Before we even start emailing people, let's talk about who to email. You need to collect enough resources before you even start sending, so you know who exactly you're reaching out to. First of all, you have to reach out to previous other local events. I remember when I was marketing for Hack Chicago, the first batch was extremely easy because we had Sean, who ran other previous local events like Chai Hacks, like Shinxi Hacks, like Code 211, and we have direct access to all those email lists, which means that it's very easy for us to just directly reach out to them and build an impact from there. So I would still categorize previous other local events into two categories. 1A as direct connection. Direct connection means that you have an organizer on your team currently who has organized a previous event, which means that they have direct access to the email list. In that case, you can just directly import that email list and even send an email on behalf of them. If you look at this co-branded email with Hack Chicago and 211, we send an email on behalf of Bhargav and Sean, who are the organizers of Code 211, so people recognize them, and we can build their endorsement from there. Don't even have to be drafting the email. If you're the marketing director, draft the email for them and make sure they're okay with you sending it. When you're sending emails to attendees of the previous events, please make sure you include these 3 things in your email: exclusivity, urgency, and actionables. Exclusivity means that you want people to know that the opportunity is limited, and you want to give this opportunity to them as a previous attendee of another event, so they really value this opportunity. Urgency is you want to push them to sign up as soon as possible, because they're very likely going to be your first batch of signups. And from there, you can build even more signups, which I will talk about later. The actionable should be clear and clean. It shouldn't be a inline link in the middle of nowhere. It should be just a big button to tell them, apply now, submit, register now, so they know exactly what you want when you're reaching out to them. However, there's another case where you do not really have a organizer of previous events directly on your team. In that case, please do not directly ask for other people's email lists. That's a trust violation to their attendees, if the attendees do not wish to be spammed. What you could do is you should email out and ask them to send an email to introduce your attendees. For example, if you have let's say CodeDay in your area, you can email their regional managers and ask them, hey, we are running a hackathon at this time. We really want to see if we can invite some of your CodeDay attendees over to my event. Is it possible for you to send out an email to introduce our event to your attendees? Usually this kind of outreach will yield a very low success rate, but it's definitely worth a try. And sometimes it will be a good idea to just connect with others beforehand so you can reach out to them as you're running the event so they can provide some support for you. Aside from previous other local events, you want to drive some new attendees to your event. So reaching out to schools is the most direct way of sourcing new attendees. When you're reaching out to schools, most people will start by just sorting out a list of teachers to email, and I think that's way too much work. If you're running a slightly larger event, you will have to go through like all the public schools of like 4 or 5 states around the area you're running the event on, and that will be over like a few thousand teachers to add to your list manually. What I would do is I will break this process up and make others do the work for you. Here's what I mean. I would email principals first, who are manually sourced, and they're usually available on like State Department education websites. You can source those principal emails, send emails to your principals, introduce them to your event, and ask them if they can forward the email to the department heads or teachers. In that case, the principals have direct access to the right teachers, to the right information, to the right email lists, so they can easily forward the email for you without you doing the work to collect information about department heads or individual teachers. So, in the case if the principal didn't respond, you can then go to these individual schools and source out the department heads and ask them to send an email to forward the email to their teachers or students that they're teaching. And that's a second step of a ladder, which still doesn't require you to go down into the school directory and find individual teachers. Well, the last step is you find teachers and ask them to forward the email to students. If the previous 2 steps worked out, it will drastically decrease the amount of work you have to do just to get information sourced out to send emails to. Reminder that each level is significantly harder to source, not only because there's an increasing number on each level, there's also that principal email addresses are almost always public on a school website, but individual teachers' email addresses might not be public on the website. When that's done, let's talk about timing. During Hack Chicago, one of my biggest regrets is that we didn't market early enough. We started major marketing in April or May when some schools already started to end. So our marketing campaign wasn't huge and we didn't get a lot of results. And when we eventually started emailing teachers in like late May, early June, schools are already out and teachers are not willing to email their students during the summer. So if your event is during the school year, please don't try to reach the teachers over weekends because their inbox will be flooded by weekend flows. And if you're a summer event, your marketing should start well before school ends, preferably March or April. Let's talk about drafting an email. Here I'm going to use Matthew's email template for Windy City Hacks, and let's see how he organized the email to make sure that teachers and principals can easily understand what you are trying to do. This is an introductory paragraph of the email. There are a few things I want to mention here. First of all, you'll notice that this email is sent in plain. If you look at my previous email to students, you'll see that is like there's a template, there's everything designed, and usually in most cases, teachers don't want that. Teachers don't want their email, the inbox to be filled with marketing campaigns, which means that you want to write something that looks more personal and less complicated for them to like get the essential information from. And also, you should customize your email as much as possible. If you see the bracket on top, that is the mail merger for school name, and also bold essential content for teachers to directly look into the information they need. On the second paragraph, introduce briefly what hackathons are, since teachers might not have extensive knowledge on what a hackathon is, or even what hack means. Also, sliding some important details for them to really understand what you were trying to vouch for and what kind of event this really is. Usually, in marketing emails to teachers, we want to tell your own story. Why is your event important? Why hackathons? And why are you involved in organizing this hackathon? And most importantly, you should really tell those teachers and principals why you need their help to reach your students. And you also want them to realize the impact they can build on their students if they were able to send their students to your event. At the end, you should, first of all, make your actionable clear. There are so many emails I have read earlier that doesn't really tell you what they want you to do. And after that email, it will just leave you in the confusion of what is this email for, and or what am I supposed to do now? Make the actionable really clear. Should they forward a flyer? Should they forward a text snippet to your students? Or should they just tell their students about the event during the class? Make it very clear what you want them to do so they can easily follow the directions. Also, let's talk about the signature. The signature is the most underlooked part of an email, but always leave your contact information in the signature so teachers can reach back to you when they have questions. And I'll guarantee you that there are a lot of teachers who ask questions for these kind of events, and the response is incredibly important to seek their support for your event especially in marketing. Don't put any fluffy titles on you. Lead organizer is fine. Organizer is fine. Don't put something like chief executive director of this event. You're running a non-profit event, not a multi-billion-dollar company. So that's the end of it. That's the end of drafting this email. This email is pretty simple to draft, but it does require some thought on how you're going to convey that argument to teachers who have no idea what a hackathon is. One more thing about marketing is that you should market through your partners. Partners are usually referred to companies, organizations, or groups that has provided support for your event, even include sponsors or venue. A few examples of my own: George Mason University, my venue sponsor for CodeDay, has this high school engineering program, and I was able to reach out to these people, to parents and students of that program, and advertise about my CodeDay. Eventually, I got about 50 signups just through that program. Hack Chicago also marketed through partners like High School Esports League, which you're really easy to get signups from as well. When you send the email to them, reaching out to them to ask them to help you out with this, you should really indicate clearly who your audience might be and who they should send their email to. Let's say for the university, you should tell them clearly, I'm reaching out to high schoolers. You should also tell them that you're reaching out to students in the area so they know who to email, because universities have a lot of email lists, and you don't want your message to go to the wrong people. Always ask for permission first. Don't push too far. They're your sponsor, they're your partner. They have already done a lot of things, put a lot of cash into your event. You don't want them to do a whole lot of work for you beyond their expectations. So when I was sending this email, I was I think finalizing my venue partnership with George Mason University, and luckily they were able to help out. And when they ask for information that they can include, make sure you send them a direct copy and pastable text snippet so that they can just send it to their students without communicating the information wrong. There are a lot of cases where if you just link them to a website, link them to a flyer, they have to paraphrase it, and during the paraphrasing process, a lot of weird things will start to happen, and your potential attendees will receive the wrong information, receive the wrong image of what the event would look like. So it's really important that you include a directly copy and pastable text snippet in your email to them to make sure it's very easily shareable. I also want to point out a few more organizations, societies you can reach out to when marketing for events. The two most important things I've seen is PCSA and also libraries, because these programs have higher conversion rate when you reach out to them, reach out to the right person. You can also reach out to local hack clubs, girls code clubs, robotics, science Olympiad clubs in your school, in the schools around you, and Thank you for watching and bye.